We are walking to the nearest farm stand to get milk, eggs, arepas, and maybe even some desserts. So guys, I'm Hunter and this is Sky.
We bought one-way tickets to Colombia
And we want to bring you with us. And today, on our adventures, before we get into it, I just want to give you a quick bird's eye view of what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about where we last left off with Martha dropping us off at the little town by the Airbnb.
Taking the training wheels off, we are officially on our own.
We're officially on our own. So that's where this story picks up. And we're going to talk about our wild travels to the first Workaway coffee farm that we worked at, and we stayed there for a week. So we're going to go into detail on that. If you guys are interested in hearing about how we got there, watch our previous video. I think that's day 3. Today we're on day 4. And let's get right into it.
So as soon as Martha dropped us off, we had to find a bus.
We had to find a bus, literally. Like, Martha didn't know where the bus, she knew it was like in that town, but she didn't know specifically where.
We're in this like little bodega looking store, and this guy's like, no, the bus is full, there's no more seats.
And somehow Martha spoke to this guy and
Convinced him
to let us buy 2 more tickets to the already sold out bus. So we buy 2 tickets, and then Martha's like, the bus is coming in 30 minutes. So we decided to go get something to eat, and that's when Martha left. And we went and got some barbecue chicken at this little restaurant. And we'll show you guys a clip of that restaurant here. That was interesting. That was our first time eating fast food in Colombia. The food was great. At that point, we're still in shock about how cheap things are.
Mm-hmm.
And
we actually didn't eat until we got on the bus.
Right, because it was like time to go. So we got our food and we ran to where the bus is supposedly going to pick us up. And the bus is there. And the bus driver helps us on the bus, and we're sitting in the back of the bus, and
everyone's speaking Spanish. They're like pointing to us, pointing to the people next to us.
Yeah.
We don't understand anything.
We're like, what's going on? And the bus driver or the bus, like, they have like these bus attendants aside from the bus driver who kind of help people get on and off the bus. And the guy is like saying something to us. And then there's a mother and her daughter next to us, and they're like trying to tell us something in Spanish, and we're like, I think they want us to move up. Like,
we're like, us up there? And they're like, yeah.
And we understood. Like, I understood. The guy was like, let me see your ticket. Here, hold that. He's like, let me see your ticket. So we give him our ticket, and then he's like signaling us to move up to the front of the bus. So we're like, okay, so we stand up and all the seats are full. So like, where
do we go?
Wants to go? And he points to the very front shotgun seat of the bus. So there's a shotgun seat that I go sit at, and then there's a middle seat. It's just a cushion that Sky is sitting on.
Just like a middle console.
So we're sitting on that bus, and as we're riding along up the twists and turns of the mountains of Colombia, this bus is just like, we're picking up more people as we go, and people are standing in the aisle. So it's kind of like a really packed subway, and we're munching on our chicken wings, barbecue chicken wings, so our fingers are just messy. And Sky is sitting in the center console. A lady gets on the bus and sits
right behind me, so we are each other's backrests.
And Sky loved that. She was like, I feel so immersed right now. And it was just like such an immersive, crazy feeling. So I don't know, maybe an hour or so in that bus, and we arrive in a small town called Cartagenita, where it's time for us to get off. And we know that because Martha was like, okay, get off in Cartagenita. You're going to get on another bus that's going to take you to Cashipai.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, so we get off the bus, and in that moment is when we realize that everyone is super, super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And we are helped off the bus and then like handed off to the next people like a baton.
Not onto a bus, but rather this tiny little van that has 2 rows of seats. We throw our bags in there, suitcase, backpacks, and we start driving another hour through the loopy mountains. And then
We were told at that time by the next host,
yes,
by the owner of this next farm that we're going to, that we need to tell the bus driver to stop at this restaurant called San Angelo.
yeah.
And we're
We're just like keeping
okay.
our eyes peeled.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I see we're like coming to this point where it's a switchback and we're about to turn, and I see a restaurant that says San Angelo, and I'm like, stop, stop. That's our stop. And the bus driver recognized what we were trying to say. He stopped, helped us out, finally get out of that crammed bus, because it was Sky, me, and then a mother with her 2 kids in front of her, and then a dude next to them.
And all of our bags.
And then the grandmother was in the passenger seat, and the bus driver. So we get to the restaurant.
We have to follow these crazy Colombian instructions that our host sent us on how to get to the farm. So it was like, once you get out at the restaurant, there will be a road to your left.
Royal road. There will be a royal road to the left. Once you get there, walk up past the little store called El Reten, and then
Go past 2 farms.
3 more farms up is ours.
I feel like there was more, but they were like crazy instructions. So
Yeah.
we're like trying to like read these. And then we finally see the door that says Bhakti.
Which is the name of their farm.
So we made it. We ring the doorbell. And we're greeted by our host. And we get to see the beautiful space that we'll be staying in. This was our accommodation
We slept in a tent
for a week.
the entire time.
It was set up pretty nice though.
It was awesome. No complaints. It was like the beds were on pallets, and it was actually pretty nice. The weather varies where you're at here in Colombia because of the terrain. If you're higher up in the mountains, it's cooler. It's pretty cool at night, which is how I like it. We had blankets. It's not cold by all means, but it was cooler. And
They had a dog named Lucas and
Lucas.
a kitty named Agatha, and she slept with us every night in the tent. She's such a sweetheart.
Agata Lagata.
La gata Agatha.
And we played volleyball with the family. That was really cool. Our first day there, we met with an old, wise coffee farmer named Sadulfo, who shared his wisdom in Spanish with us. And
We have a video of him like talking to you, right?
so she will record.
Okay.
Hablas. So, en español, lento.
En español,
Sí.
¿qué es amor?
¿Qué es amor?
Sí,
What is love? What
¿Qué
is
es amor?
love?
sí. ¿Qué es amor?
¿Qué?
El amor es
El amor es
el respeto
el respeto.
entre 2 seres,
Otra vez.
entre 2 seres o una pareja,
Entre dos eres.
o una pareja,
Una.
es decir, tú y tú.
Una
pareja
pareja.
para que sobrevivan por toda la vida.
Again.
Debe haber el respeto.
Where there's respect.
¿Qué es el respeto?
What is
¿Qué es el respeto?
respeto y amor?
Amor,
¿Qué es amor?
amor
¿Qué es amor?
y confianza entre sí mismo.
Y
Confianza entre sí mismo.
confianza.
Confianza, confiar en esa persona. Usted confía en ella.
Hang on, let me do this. We have a rough idea, but yeah, we had to have someone translate for us. But he helped us, and we helped them plant banana trees in between the coffee plants.
Yep.
And we also helped them build a fence made out of coffee branches
Around their garden.
around their garden to keep the animals out.
Yeah, that was cool. We like bioconstructed a fence.
And animals such as like dogs and the cats, they didn't want them in there peeing and pooping on the vegetables, obviously. So that's why we built the fence.
So every day, every work day,
Every meal
we got 3 meals a day.
the family cooked for us.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was just another good way to get immersed in the culture. They were making us authentic Colombian food 3 times a day, and it was just nice to sit down with the family, and they would speak Spanish, but 2 of them were bilingual, which was nice. And the little girl that was there, she was super intrigued by us and our English, and like I was intrigued by her, so it was fun to just like
Learn from them
learn
about
from each
their
other.
culture and their family structure, and they're so welcoming, you know. Just they invited 2 strangers on their land and their house, and we ate with them. It was a really cool experience, and that's one reason why we highly recommend Workaway as a form of travel and accommodation when you do travel, because you really get immersed in the local life.
And
That was really cool. So Sky and I, part of our bucket list was to ride horses. We were asking them like if they knew anywhere to rent or ride horses, and they said, well, there's a farm up the road. If you go to the T,
you could just ask them if you can ride their horses.
maybe they know someone if you can't. And so Jesus, who was the father of the owner of the farm,
He walked with us up the hill. We asked them.
and so we're walking up the hill, and we see these parrots in the trees that are talking back to us.
¿Quiere cacao? ¿Quiere cacao? ¿Quiere cacao?
Otra vez.
¿Quiere cacao? ¡Qué bello! ¿Quién quiere cacao? ¡Hola! ¡Qué bichos! ¡Lorenzo! ¿Quiere cacao? ¡La suya! ¡Lorenzo! ¿Qué? ¿Qué? Yo no veo al otro.
Us, which was really cool. We see these cows, which is the thumbnail of the last video. Really cool cattle that I had never seen before. And we see some people outside, and Jesus just asked them, hey, where can we rent horses? He said, do you remember what it is? He said, donde podamos alquilar
Los
una
Los
caballos. And and the guy said, well, when do you want to do it? And we're like, oh, I don't know, maybe Saturday. And we were like, how much would it cost? He says 60,000 and 60,000 pesos.
And Jesus was like, what about 40?
About 40. And he's like, no, that's too cheap. And we were like, what about 50? So we negotiated a little bit, and he was willing to do it for 50,000 pesos for 3 hours on a Saturday.
3 hours, 50 pesos is like 12, 15 US dollars for 3 hours of horseback riding.
Well, like, heck yeah, that's a deal. So we, the granddaughter, who was the owner's niece,
Isa.
Jesus's granddaughter, Isabella,
She came with us. But her abuelo didn't want her to be alone with two strangers, understandably so.
So we get there on Saturday. This guy has the 3 horses strapped up and
ready to go.
Ready to go. First he gets Isabella on the horse, and he's explaining in Spanish, like, left foot here, right foot there, and then kind of explaining the what do you call the thing around their neck?
The reins.
The reins. He's explaining the reins, and then he's telling Sky the instructions all in Spanish, and then he's telling me the instructions. And at that point, he was like done. He was just like, left, right. Does that feel good?
It's like, okay, see ya.
And then he was like, go down that way. And so that was the instruction that we got for these horses. And I personally haven't really ridden a horse in my life. I think I did one time when I was young, but no experience riding horses. It really felt like in Avatar when they pull the hair and they connect it with that flying thing. That's how it felt. It was so cool.
One with the horse.
And so this ranch was like up the street from the farm that we were staying at. So Maria, the owner of the farm, comes out and records us walking down the hill on the horses. And at that time, Jesus is walking the horse with Isabella on it.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, once we start going down the hill, the horse was too fast for Jesus, and Isabella's horse was following Sky and I. So we like don't know where to go, right? Because we don't really know the area. And we're asking Jesus, like, where do we go? Left, right, straight? He's like, he would tell us left, right. 3 hours later, Jesus is running the entire time.
Running, following us on these horses up the mountains, like
through the mountains. And he's like, Jesus is leading us to a place, and it's like, we were like, Jesus, are you good? Do you need a break? He was like, no, we're good. Keep going. This man's like 60 years old. And it was nuts. It was completely nuts. That was such a blast. And we were just so in awe, so struck by Jesus' perseverance and his good attitude during the entire
such
time.
Inspiration. He was like, we would be like, are you tired? And he's like, Jesus is strong, man.
And he wanted to lead us to this structure, and he's like, El Castillo is where we want to go. And at a certain point, he didn't even know where to go from there.
He was just asking the locals on the street.
Yeah, so he was just asking people like, ¿Dónde está el Castillo? And then they would point in a certain direction. The locals showed us the way. We finally arrived to like one of his family members' property, and they show us like in the backyard they are building this really tall bamboo structure that we walked up. Certainly not up to code, or
so like just no, like nothing to hold on to, so much space between the steps. Like you take one wrong step, make one wrong move, you're going down.
I'm assuming they were building it for like, you know, to have people come stay like as Airbnb or something. So we climb to the top of this cool structure that he wanted to show us, and it's a great view. We leave the horses out front, and when we were done chatting with him for a minute and him just pretty much show and tell, we get back on our horses and we ride all the way back. The entire thing took 3 hours, and he kept up with us the whole time, which was pretty incredible. We stopped periodically, but that was such a highlight of our trip so far, being here. Just the
horses through the wild roads of Colombia. It's an amazing first Workaway experience. Highly recommend.
We'll link their info into the description of the video, so if you guys happen to be traveling in Colombia, they are a great family to be hosted by. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. Next in the next video, we want to talk about our travels to
next destination,
Buena Vista, where we want to share with you guys our paragliding experience. And we took a tour on a coffee farm with a farmer who's very knowledgeable, and it was a really great time. But first, we stopped in Ibagué, which is halfway there, to spend some time with Sky's friends. Gloria's parents is who we stayed with in a town called Ibagué. Reminded us of Miami, and it was a really cool place. Great stay, great adventure. Stay tuned because we want to tell you more about our adventures here. We think they're so crazy. Until next time, hasta mañana. Ciao.